Okay, so we might have a few people that are wanting to tune into this video because they want to see me scream, yell my head off, and hyperbolically talk about how I'm done with this team. Well, unfortunately for you, I didn't actually watch today's game. There was a Tuesday hockey scrimmage going on with the fellas that I wanted to take a part of, and I did. Happened to score, I think it was like 5 goals or whatever it was, and a few very beautiful cross-crease assists. It was a fun time. But this was going on while the Canucks and the Devils game took place. So, it leads to a video like this where I'm kind of just going off of the dome here. I'm talking about different points that I'm seeing being discussed, and it's a lot less of the formulaic, okay, at 10 minutes this happened, and at 15 minutes this happened, and at 20 minutes this happened. This is going to be a lot more of a chill video, and anybody that is ticked off about how the team played, or how the team had a lack of effort in the second period, the shorthanded goal against, or whatever, please just kind of join me here. Let's talk about this calmly. Let's go over what's been happening with the Vancouver Canucks. But before we do that, I wanted to also talk about my fantasy team. Because when it comes to the league that I'm in, I'm currently facing off against John from Hot Take Hockey this week on the Yahoo Fantasy Sports app. I had to choose between Bo Horvat, Jack Hughes, and Nazem Kadri to fill out my 2 out of 3 available center positions. These are 3 players. Of course, there are only 2 available that you can activate at a time. And I went with Bo and Jack Hughes. I was like, okay, Nazem Kadri is really good, and the Flames are a very good team, but I don't know what it is, man. I feel something about this Devils and Canucks game. For some reason, either one or both of these guys always seems to show up when it's Vancouver versus New Jersey. So I'm going to go Bo, and I'm going to go Jack Hughes. Unfortunately for me, Nazem Kadri scored a goal. But very fortunately for me, Jack Hughes and Bo each scored goals as well, and they actually outproduced what Nazem Kadri did on my bench as a member of the Flames going up against the... Who the heck did the Calgary Flames play today? Seattle? That's who it was. But either way, I made a very good choice playing Bo and Jack Hughes over Nazem Kadri, so pats on the back to me right there. But either way, the Vancouver Canucks lose this one 5-2. You have yourselves Bo Horvat with both of the Vancouver goals, both on the power play. The Canucks end up giving up a few stinkers, a few goals where it's like, okay, Thatcher Demko kind of had to be in a position to block another thing, so it's not really like the goals were his fault. You had rebounds off of him and the open guys on the side. You had tips out in front where nobody is taking the shooter ultimately. Demko wasn't really the best here. He had cross creases as well that didn't make his job all too easier either. But the Vancouver Canucks ultimately lose this one after all the hype that we had seen. Oh, it's the reverse retro night. Oh, it's Jack Hughes versus Quinn Hughes, because Quinn Hughes is indeed back. You know what I wanted to talk about? I wanted to talk about Quinn. Because when it comes to the title and the thumbnail, Hughes for lose, it's kind of a play on words with what happened in 2019. If you remember in the 2018-19 season, this was my freshman year of college, so I was very sentimentally attached to the videos we were making in this time frame. If you remember back in 2018-19, lose for Hughes, quote-unquote, was the slogan for all the teams that were tanking to get Jack Hughes first overall in the entry draft. Jack eventually got taken by New Jersey, which is why we have this matchup, but when it comes to today's game, Quinn Hughes gets reactivated off the injury reserve, and I know I didn't see the game, personally, like I didn't see too much of the tape either, but based off of the social media reaction that I've been seeing, and the expert analysis done by the people in my household who watched the Canucks while I was out doing the scrimmaging, apparently Hughes is not great. And you could definitely tell that he is not what he was at the end of last season, or any time in last season's worth of play when he was going out there producing point after point after point. Sure, Hughes got himself an assist here today. He got an assist on the first Bo Horvat goal at the end of the third period. It was Miller with the pass in front to Bo, and of course it's Hughes who gave it to Miller in the first place, which is why each of them get points. Hughes is a point-per-game defenseman right now. But when it comes to the way this guy is relied upon as a Vancouver Canucks puck-facilitating D-man, there's so much responsibility there that he holds on to. And for the most part, the past few years that we've had Hughes, I say we as if I'm a part of the team. No, I'm not a part of the team. The past few years that we have been able to see Hughes as a member of the Vancouver Canucks, he's done amazing things, and he's been very consistent with stepping up to the task and being who the Vancouver Canucks need him to be. As of late, though, it hasn't necessarily been like that. Even before he was taken out with whatever illness or whatever injury it was that had ended up sidelining him, he was not the best. And you could definitely tell, based off of the people that I've been talking to about this game earlier today, that Quinn just isn't at that level that he was at before. Now you could say, okay, just give him some time. He is a smart enough player, he's a skilled enough player that he'll be able to bounce back and actually be an effective puck-facilitating quarterback and defenseman once again that doesn't make the defensive turnovers, reads, and mistakes that Hughes has started to make in 22-23, but at the same time, Hughes singling him out is not necessarily the thing that I think is the most productive in this sort of conversation. Here's a tweet from Cody Severson that I wanted to talk about here on the YouTube channel. It goes over what the Canucks' attitude was kind of like towards the middle frame-ish of the game. This is what Cody said, reading into every little thing. Less than 10 minutes in the period, down by 2, Ethan Bear skates to retrieve the puck and looks up the ice for an open man. All the Canucks are coasting to run out the clock. Ethan Bear shakes his hands as if to say, really? I've heard this organization criticize their players' professionalism, practice habits, game habits, everything under the sun. So yeah, I'm absolutely reading into a guy coming from a winning culture and organization in Carolina and going, okay, I guess not. And I'd actually seen this pop up on my timeline too. If you go over to Ethan Bear, I'm not going to go out there and say that he played an amazing game or a bad game or whatever. Again, I didn't watch the game. But based off of what I'd been seeing, Ethan Bear kind of brings this attitude where it's like, you know, this guy comes from a winning team. Just the plays that he makes in the offensive zone, the eagerness, the tenacity, his headspace when he has the puck on his stick. You could tell that this is a guy who is used to playing for a winner. And when you have plays like this, where Ethan Bear picks the puck up at the end of the period, there's a few seconds left, and he's looking for an outlet pass, and he kind of shakes his hands because he's like, okay, wait, what are you guys doing? Like, there's still some extra time left for us to maybe make one more play. In fact, Cody goes out there and discredits the, oh, there was barely any time left, stop critiquing my favorite players argument. Literally an hour before this game, with less than 6 seconds left in the game, you had yourselves Brady Tkachuk, who almost tied it against the Lightning in the last split second of the third period. So this is kind of a difference in attitude. Even in the offensive zone, when people were talking about Bear and how he was trying to quarterback and try to put the heat onto the New Jersey Devils, only for the rest of the Canucks to not really match that sort of energy. It's sort of like you could feel that there's a difference in mindset between some of these guys. Now, obviously, I'm just kind of spitting off of what I'd been seeing on Twitter, and we all know that Twitter is the most reliable source of information, but the fact is, I can take a look at these things. I can say, okay, yeah, Hughes, him being hurt, him not being effective, okay, I could totally talk about that. Ethan Bear coming from a winning organization and not necessarily having that same reciprocation from the players around him on a new team in Vancouver that is not used to winning, I could totally understand that too. Even though I didn't watch this game, and even though I'm kind of just sitting here smiling, thinking the game was good because Bo Horvat and Jack Hughes got more points than Nazem Kadri on my fantasy team, there still are parts of this team that you can definitely say need a little bit of addressing here and there. That's it. I don't know what else to talk about because, you know, I was kind of scoring goals myself while the Devils were piling it in on Thatcher Demko. If you go over to the box score here and you see who put things on the board for New Jersey, Nico Hischier scored his 5th. Michael McLeod also followed up a few minutes later. Dawson, Mercer, Sharangovich, they kind of went back and forth with cross-crease goals. Bo Horvat scored at the end of the second, and then he opened up the scoring in the third, also with a power play goal. And then Jack Hughes, with a few minutes to go, ends off the game 5-2. Talk in the comments all your thoughts about this game. I didn't watch it, so you're going to have to fill me in on everything that happened, everything that's worth talking about, all the different ideas floating around in your head here when it comes to Connor Bedard and the team losing and them winning 2 in a row, only to bounce back with an effort like this. They played really well against Pittsburgh. They did. But then you had yourselves this game where there were a lot of fights. There was apparently a lack of work ethic in the second period. In the third, you saw it sort of coming back, but they still weren't able to convert. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. I hope you enjoyed this Juraj Rolls 99. And bye.